ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow! Yeah. It's okay. It's alright. It's okay. Yeah. Okay. Hey Basil, this dude is just a little bit of stage fright. Yeah. Hey baby. Yeah. Okay. Here you go. There you go. Ozzy. Okay. Oh, so you got the Basil computer up here. What? Yeah, I know we're in hour 675. Now I'm tired. You're tired. Are you kidding? You see the bags under my eyes? I'll tell you. So, you want me to read the article that you have here up from the Washington Post? Okay, I'll do that as soon as... Oh. Welcome to Basil BuddhaCat Presents. Hour number... What'd I say? 675? Okay. Basil says he wants me to read an article that's in the Washington Post. Looks like yesterday. And, last night. Okay, I'll go ahead. Bernie Sanders spent $46 million in 1 month. Okay, this should be interesting. It's not just Bernie Sanders' fundraising that is staggering. The senator from Vermont managed to spend roughly $46 million in March alone, the same amount he raised, based on figures released by his campaign Wednesday night. That means Sanders' spending in 1 month was equal to more than 1/3 of the $122.6 million his campaign has spent in the entirety through February. Details of the campaign spending, which were due to be reported to the Federal Election Commission by midnight, were not yet available. But the huge outlays came as Sanders was challenging Clinton on various fronts, scoring victories in Colorado, Minnesota, and Oklahoma. For her part, Clinton spent $32.3 million in March while raising $29.3 million. She still ended the month with more money in the bank than her rival, $29 million to his $17 million, according to figures released by the campaigns. Sanders' online fundraising machine beat Clinton for the third month in a row, and he is close to outraising her for the entire election cycle. He brought in $185.5 million through the end of March from 2.2 million donors. Quick check, that's what, about $70 per donor, where people are giving $10 multiple times, or as much as $27 2 or 3 times, while she collected $191 million from more than 1.1 million contributors. Okay, it's a fairly wide gap. She's got about 180 per contributor, and he's got about 90 per contributor. Double. Okay, so that's it. That's what? Basil said
Meow, brr, meow, brr, meow, brr, meow, brr, meow, meow. Below the fold. Meow.
Said he's a journalist, and any good journalist knows that what you do is you start with the point you want to make on behalf of your candidate, and later on in the article you can tuck a couple things in that maybe aren't as flattering to your candidate, and you put them below the fold and you slide them down toward the bottom of the article, and that's how you keep your candidate happy. Well, that's, I guess, is not very presumptuous, because they run about an average of 4 or 5 pro-Clinton or anti-Sanders articles per day, and this seems to be one of them in a sense. But then he said below the fold, keep on reading, right? He said,
Meow, brr, meow, brr, meow, meow, brr, meow, meow, brr, meow, little fishies, meow.
Said, Star-Kissed chunk-light tuna in water with omega-3s, much better than the other products omega-2 and 9/10. Okay. And then he said, okay, read on. Okay. But Clinton is also flanked by a network of well-funded independent allies. The biggest, the super PAC Priorities USA Action, has amassed, now we've talked about the candidacies themselves raising $190 million each. But the biggest, the super PAC Priorities USA Action, this is in addition to one of the shadow campaigns, has amassed $67.2 million so far, including $11.8 million in March. Okay, this is PAC Priorities USA Action. They say that's Clinton's biggest PAC, and Basil knows that. Basil's been talking about Priorities USA Action along the way. Okay, it goes on to say, Priorities' largest donor last month was, okay, and this is way down in the article, so you're supposed to stop reading when you hear the 46 million and he spent that much and yada yada. And Priorities' largest donor last month was hedge fund manager James Simons, who gave $3.5 million, doubling his previous $3.5 million contribution. S. Donald Sussman, another wealthy hedge fund manager. Wait a second now. She says she's not. Basil said, just keep reading. S. Donald Sussman, another wealthy hedge fund manager, donated $1.5 million, bringing his total contributions to the group to $4 million. Other $1 million donors in March were already on the Washington Post list of top 50 super PAC contributors, including Univision chairman Chaim Saban and his wife Cheryl, who gave $2 million. This is a couple that gave $2 million to Clinton's super PAC. And Mary Catherine and Jay Pritzker, who contributed $1.8 million. There's another couple that's given quite a bit of money. Okay. Well, that's the end of the article. And I'm sure you probably had something to say. Said,
Well, me.
Said, I like to post under your name, David, and maintain a little bit of anonymity, because after all, journalists like Basil like to maintain their anonymity, as do journalists like the Washington Post editorial board. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Oh, you did post under my name. Okay. Let's see. It's a response. Let's see what you responded to using my name. said, let's see. He can stay in, but he needs to campaign on the issues and stop the personal attacks. If he had a chance of winning the delegate count, he could slug it out. He doesn't have a chance of winning with delegates and needs to either clean up his act or drop out. The bigger goal is the Democratic Party winning in November. It is not massaging Bernie's inflated ego. Okay, and you respond, as me, do you believe that those $1 million donors don't expect anything in return for their money? Do you really believe that? Time for some soul searching on your part, eh? And again, wow, another one from me, I guess. The fact that Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are the two least trusted candidates is an issue. Do you disagree with that fact? We've been through this, and we know that that amongst all registered voters and all voters that have voted in primaries, the least trusted candidate is Donald Trump, and the second least trusted candidate is Hillary Clinton. Ted Cruz is back of the pack, but he's got some trust issues with voters. The most trusted candidates in the presidential election cycle so far have continually been John Kasich and Bernie Sanders. So I guess the question that needs to be said is, should Americans trust their candidates? Should they have candidates that they feel like they can trust running in an election? And he winked twice, rolled his eyeballs, flicked the third, fourth, and fifth whisker on the left side of his face. And I know that he's thinking about something. Okay. Said, don't forget to mention about the head-to-head matchups of candidate versus candidate. Not in the primaries per se, but hypothetical candidates for the general election, trying to gauge if this Democrat ran against this Republican. Basil said, that doesn't like the word Democrat. Democrat's a noun. He prefers me to say this Democratic Party candidate versus this Republican Party candidate. Now you have adjectives, Democratic and Republican. And yeah, he's right. I mean, Basil's correct about the fact that in head-to-head matchups, Bernie Sanders does significantly better versus each and every Republican candidate. Significantly better than Hillary Clinton does. Huge difference over Donald Trump. Clinton beats Donald Trump by a fair amount, like 10 points. Sanders wins by 20 points. Clinton versus Cruz, Clinton by 5, Sanders by 10. Now, John Kasich is an interesting contrast to that. John Kasich, who's still in the race, but every time they mention his name, they say, "Who's that guy? What is he still doing here?" He thinks he can win a nomination as a candidate at a convention if it's a contested convention where Donald Trump doesn't reach the milestone of the number of candidates, the number of primary delegates that he needs to win the candidacy outright. So Kasich thinks he should be the candidate. Okay, yeah. I understand. And Bill Murray and Stephen Colbert and Drew Carey are up there, and they're stirring now. They've been catnapping a little bit. There's some guy up there from Westport too. Basil, is that BFF Hey, I think it is. Okay. Basil says, some people call him BFF because, best friends forever. But, okay, at any rate, and Basil, of course, likes to refer to Drew Carey as LFF. And can't really talk about that too much on the air because, it's a kid's show, too. We have a lot of kids watching, and, they'll call in, It's Lil. Of course, we've got Lil here as the calico cat. Passed away October 2 years ago, and the calico cat came back the following Easter, as the calico stone. And we know it's Lil because and Lil's on the phone, by the way. Hi, Lil. We know it's Lil because look. There's the tail. There's the head, and there's everything in between, and it's calico. It's multicolored rock. It's got some white, some black, some brown, some gray. It's got, everything you would expect out of a calico stone. And it weighs about as much as Lil did. It's a little bit more compact than Lil, but it's, So we got Lil on the phone from the hereafter, and she likes to keep the line open, but she's got a couple of youngsters with her, a couple of young kids with her that passed away, and they're there, and that's good because she, Basil's there all the time too. He's just here. In case you hadn't noticed, he's a two-dimensional avatar of Basil. But Basil's there, Lil's there. And they've got some kids there, and of course, it's good for kids to have cats, and it's good for cats to have kids because they're natural with each other as far as getting along and playing. And Basil said, except for the kid that pulls his tail. But Basil, your tail's about an inch long. Said, and that's the perfect length. Oh, by the way, Starkist, another reach out for Starkist. Now, I hope you're going to not make fun of Starkist. I hope you want to, actually get this account, and like you talk about, you want to have Starkist as a corporate sponsor, and eventually replace Charlie the Tuna, with Basil as the one that says it would be Della Basil sent you. And Starkist Chunk Like Tuna and Water. Basil wants me to add American Heart Association certified, meets criteria for heart healthy food. While many factors affect heart disease, diets low in saturated fat and cholesterol may reduce the risk of this disease. Okay, and important to note, Basil says important to note, omega-3s, and let's face it, all those other brands of tuna, they only have omega 2.95. So, Starkist has got them beat. So, Starkist Tuna, tell them Basil sent you. And tell them to send Basil on some cha-ching. The show's not free, by the way, except to the viewers. Okay, so Bill, okay. So Basil is no, don't say that. No, don't say that. Do not say that. Look, I mean, this is what got us into trouble with our other corporate sponsors. We had some good corporate sponsors. We had not A&W Root Beer, but we had A&W Root Beer, and good corporate sponsor. I think I don't know whether it's Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Let's see. No, it's neither. It's Dr. Pepper 7-Up Incorporated. 5301 Legacy Drive, Plano, Texas. Okay. In case you want to write to them. So PA&W root beer, and Basil liked to talk about the fact that PA&W root beer, not A&W root beer, but PA&W root beer was certainly his beverage of choice. And how can you tell that PA&W root beer was Basil's beverage of choice? Well, all you had to do is, are you sure? You know, we've had this running discussion about whether this item is, whether it's a Tootsie Roll or rebar, steel rebar, or something you would find alongside dripples of PA&W root beer in Basil's cat pan. Said, said he'd watch it with my slippers. So, you know, we lost this account. We lost the Tootsie Roll, the Hershey's Kiss account. And all we have to show for the Hershey's Kiss account is they sent us. They didn't? Okay, Basil said he found this. He was on safari in the African veldt, and he found this. And apparently, you know, there are a lot of these sitting around on the ground, and he sees them generally after there have been lions in the area. And so he figures that lions must obviously like giant-size Hershey's Kisses. So Basil brought this one back, and he likes to give it out to, what does he ever like to give it out? He likes to give it out to a worthy corporate sponsor whenever we get the opportunity. No, we're not going to do that. No, we are not. We're not going to give this to the Star Kiss Company. No, of course not. So, all right. We're just going to continually give this giant-size Hershey's Kiss to the Hershey's Candy Company, and I'm sure they'll consider it an honor, Basil. So we're back. We're reading this article, and okay, Native Son 7 posts. Delegates won by Clinton in March. I think he means through March. 1,171. Delegates won by Sanders in March, and I think he means through the end of March. 974. Sounds about right. 1,171 to 974. Clinton by about 197. An extraordinarily poor return on Bernie's $46 million investment. Well, if that's the case, then let me think now. How many dollars per each of that 1,171 delegates has Clinton spent? Not just her campaign money, but her super PAC money. And as you might imagine, it's about 3 times as much per vote, per pledged delegate. So you wrote, okay, you put it in my name again, and that's fine. How much dollars has Clinton Super PAC spent during that time, and how much per pledged delegate? Would you say that her super PACs have spent more dollars per pledged delegate than the Sanders campaign has? Okay, Johnny. I'm sure that's a real name. Johnny chimes in. Has he used even $27 of his own money while deceiving college students to donate their precious money? And you wrote, trust me, it's not me. Basil blogs occasionally under my name. Good question. Meanwhile, has she used millions of her own dollars while deceiving her donors mentioned in the article? Now, what do you mean deceiving her? Do you think she's deceiving super PACs? Basil said, no, of course not. Of course. Well, what does that mean? I mean, she said she's going to clean up Wall Street. She says she's going to She's going to jail people that deserve to be jailed. And let's see, what are the ones that she's going to start with? Let's see, who's she going to jail first for stealing money from the American workers and American taxpayers? Okay, let's see. What do we got here? Who was it? A good potential criminal deserves mentioning more than once. Okay. Okay, we're coming to it. Let's see. What do we got? Okay, let's see. It's USA. Priorities USA Action, that's her biggest PAC. And their largest donor last month was hedge fund manager James Simons, who gave $3.5 million. Basil said, get that dude on the phone. He could give me a couple of those dollars. Okay, now when we call out, do we call out, do we have any of these phones set to call out? We've got the phone that we keep Lil on all the time, the Cat in the Hat phone. We've got the we've been getting a lot of Republican Party candidates called, particularly Donald Trump, on this phone, the Nickelodeon phone, and they call. We get that ringtone. Now, do we use the Inky Dinky phone, or do we use the Inky Dinky phone that Basil can see because it's red? It's easier for him to find. Or do we use the micro Inky Dinky phone? Oh, look! Hold on. Oh, look at that. Basil. I've been looking for this. You've been looking for this. We've all been looking for this. The New York Magazine with George Clooney on the cover. Now, George Clooney held a fundraiser, a couple of them in California, for Hillary Clinton. And you got some folks outside greeting the guests as they came in their cars, including Mrs. Clinton. And for $352,000, you could get a seat at the table with Mrs. Clinton. And pretty exciting stuff. I mean, you get a photo op, you get all kinds of fun things. What? Basil says we're going to talk about that on Sunday morning show. That's a more religious subject, so we're going to tackle that on Sunday morning. This has been Basil BuddhaCat Presents. I'm David Stevenson, Basil's co-host, interpreter, chief gopher, George Clooney, and we'll see you Sunday morning on the next half hour, next portion of Basil BuddhaCat Presents Basil-Athon 2016, hour 675. Good night.
They say they'd rob your grandma blind on Wall Street, fritter her away her Medicare on Wall Street. And Pharma Oil and their pet fox don't care if she lives in a box, so long as they wear platinum jocks on Wall Street, Meow.